Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is extremely exciting for me to film. I decided I would take you guys through my eyeshadow palette collection. It's also a little overwhelming to think about because I believe I counted the other day and I had almost 190 palettes. I love seeing what's in people's makeup collections. I think it's interesting. It kind of gives you a little glimpse at their makeup journey and their tastes in makeup. It's just interesting to me. So that was the main reason why I wanted to share this with you guys. And I kind of wanted to get rid of some of these because I have quite a few that I picked up when I first started getting into makeup and I just don't reach for anymore. And then there's other ones where I can't. I don't have the heart to let them go. So this is not going to be like a ruthless declutter where I get rid of over half my collection. If you're looking for that kind of video, this ain't it, sis. Editing Michelle here. So I actually got rid of a lot more palettes than I thought I was going to. And yeah, so this was like a semi-ruthless declutter. So if that sounds interesting, you guys want to dive into my eyeshadow palette collection, let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first set of palettes that I'm going to share with you, I figured I would try to do this in some sort of an order because if not, it's going to drive me crazy. So the first set of palettes I'm going to share with you is my Anastasia Beverly Hills collection. I didn't realize how many palettes I had. It's quite a few. So the first one that I want to show you is the Modern Renaissance. I think just about everybody has seen this palette. This is not a bad palette. I have created some really pretty looks with it, but this wasn't my favorite palette. I bought this at the very beginning of my makeup journey a few years ago. The next palette is their collaboration with Jackie Aina. I feel like this is a very beautiful, well-rounded palette. This is really good to suit deeper skin tones. I feel like it also does well with lighter skin tones. Come on, you know you want to focus, huzzy. It's just got a lot of really pretty tones in here that I really love, so beautiful palette. The next one is the Soft Glam. This might be one of my favorites, and the reason being is because you can just create such beautiful, easy, neutral looks with this. And when I'm looking for an everyday neutral palette to throw on, run out the door, go to work, what have you, this is the one I reach for. These little brushes that they include in these palettes, they're trash. I'm just being honest. They're scratchy. The only thing I'll use is maybe the end of it because it's good for packing, but otherwise, I usually throw these away. I'm surprised this is even in this palette. I'm throwing that away. Okay, the next palette in this set is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette. This is another one of their neutral palettes. The fuzz in my room absolutely kills me. I'm pretty sure there's dust floating around here from 1940. Just, again, a really beautiful neutral palette. Perfect if you're just looking for something to throw on and something that's easy and doesn't take a whole lot of effort. Love this. The next one is the Subculture palette. This one a lot of people had issues with. I actually purchased mine from TJ Maxx, but I never really had any issues with it. Beautiful palette. I love the grungy vibes in here. I love that shade Electric right here. It's stunning. I don't know. I really like this palette. I need to use it some more because I haven't used this in a very long time. Next up is the Riviera palette. Heard a lot of negative feedback on this one. And I think it's just because people didn't know what to do with it. I have a lot of those little eyeshadow brushes that are going in the garbage. People really didn't know what to do with this color story. It's a lot of bright and vivid colors. And it's beautiful. These shadows perform really well. I just feel like people didn't get very inspired looking at this. They had a hard time coming up with a cohesive look. And I really did too. So this is another one I'm going to have to dip back into soon. See what I can create with it. And then the last of my smaller palettes is the new Amrezy palette. Or newer Amrezy palette. Newish, whatever. Love the packaging on this. I never realized this one's bigger than the other ones. This one's got extra pans. Did you guys know that? You probably knew that. This is such a beautiful palette. I picked this palette up right when the pandemic started, and I picked up a bunch of other makeup as well, so I really haven't even taken this to its full potential. I think I've used it twice, which is a crying shame. So, need to use this more. You're going to hear me say that a lot in this video. Need to try that again. Ooh, need to use that more. I just don't... I buy more stuff before I have a chance to really get to know what I already have, so I need to get better about that, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that that's what I'm going to do because I know myself. Okay, the next one, this is the ABH and Norvina Pro Pigment Palette Volume 3. It's a mouthful, damn. If I can get it open. I love how big the mirrors are. It's dirty. I love how big the mirrors are in these palettes. I hope the colors are translating well on camera. They are so beautiful. If you haven't tried this formula, it is pretty different from their original formula, especially the shimmers. The shimmers are just different. Not necessarily bad, but they're just not as foiled. They're not as like bam in your face, but I don't dislike them. I really do like these Pro Pigment palettes as well. Next up is the newest ABH palette to me. This is their Pro Pigment Palette Volume 4. And I do have a review up on my channel of this one. I will link it in the cards above so you guys can go check it out if you're interested. Beautiful palette. I really like the look I created with it. Need to use it some more. Today I have C4 blended all through my crease. This purple shade. It's a really beautiful, like, neutrally. Just making up words on my channel here. It's like a more neutral type of purple. But I have that blended in the crease as well as a lot of other beautiful shades. And then the last in my Anastasia Beverly Hills collection is their Pro Pigment Palette Volume 1. This is one that I also need to play around a lot more with because I kind of bought all these. I don't want to say at the same time because there was time in between each, but I've bought all 3 of these within the past couple months. I have a problem. The next 3 palettes I have are from Kaleidos Cosmetics. I am in love with these palettes. I got these as part of like a set. You could mix and match 3 of their Futurism palettes for like a discounted price. And I was like, you know, hell yeah, let me do that because they looked stunning. I did create an eye look with this one here. This is the Electro Turquoise palette. So beautiful. The packaging on this is just stunning. I mean, gorgeous. I will link in the cards above, you know, the video where I did a look with this palette, but I love it. Quality is so good in these. The next one is the Astro Pink. That's what the outside looks like. They really killed it with the packaging. Another stunning palette. If you have not tried Kaleidos eyeshadows, or just in general, if you haven't tried the brand, you are completely missing out. I also have the Sci-Fi Green. I really enjoy the packaging on this one as well. It's beautiful. This one I have not used yet on the eyes, but I want to very soon because this is like my color story summed up into one palette. I love the greens, the shimmery, foiled, metallic looking shades. It's just stunning. All right, next up from Huda Beauty, this is her Mercury Retrograde palette. It's just got so much fun going on in here with the different textures, different finishes and formulas. It's got like that pressed glitter up here, but it doesn't feel like a pressed glitter. It just looks shiny and stunning. And then all the pastel colors. I just really love this palette a whole lot. I bought it for my birthday last year and definitely don't regret doing that. Next up is the Natasha Denona Love palette. I don't remember like at what point I decided, hey, I'm going to buy that palette. Because I only own one other Natasha Denona palette, and I do like it, but they're really pricey, and something about this one just spoke to me. I like the pinks, the purples. This one came out right around Valentine's Day last year. This year. What am I thinking? Like, why are we rushing the year? I do really enjoy this palette. I did create an eye look that I thought was pretty decent for my own standards. I did a video on this. I will link it in the cards above if I remember. I'm gonna have like way too many cards linked above, but anyway, very good quality, and I'm really glad I picked that up. The next one that I have from Natasha Denona is her gold palette. This one is the one that's like the most hyped up. A lot of people own this. A lot of people want to own this, and for good reason. It is a really good palette. It's got those really creamy, like buttery mattes in here. It's got like some of these really foiled shades. It's got lime chrome that everybody raves about. It's just the perfect palette if you want something neutral, if you want something glam, you can do both. I really enjoy it, and, you know, I definitely need to use this more, especially for how much I paid for it. Okay, so now I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to dive into some cheaper eyeshadow palettes. So when I first really got into makeup, I bought a lot of BH Cosmetics, because BH Cosmetics is super affordable, and they offered a wide variety of eyeshadow palettes. And I was like, you know, more bang for my buck. I can get all these colors and finishes and shades. So that's what I did. I bought a shit ton of eyeshadow palettes from BH Cosmetics. I have already decluttered some of them, so this is just what's left. The first one that I just dropped on the floor, so it's probably in shambles. This is the BH Cosmetics Glam Reflection Smoke Palette. It's got little fingerprints all over it. Let's see how shattered it is. Well, we got one shattered shade. Let me see if I can moosh it back in there. So, this one right here just fell out. Oh, hell. I don't know if I want to risk like holding that up so you guys can see it, because it's not pushing back in there. This is a palette. Oh, no, that's not. That's definitely. It's just like, oh no. This is not a palette that I've ever reached for. I think I've used it once. Can you guys see that without me spilling it all over the floor? It's just a very basic palette. It's got some pops of blue in there and gray. I guess hence the smoke, name. It's not bad quality at all. These shadows are very pigmented. Like, I haven't swatched anything yet, but I'm going to swatch BH Cosmetics. If you guys can see there. They're very pigmented shades. And I don't know what it is. I just never really reached for it. So this one's getting the boot. I am going to go ahead and declutter this one. Now the next one I'm going to show you is a palette that a lot of people used to rave about. It's a very colorful palette. It's really good quality. It was super inexpensive. This is the Weekend Festival. I love the packaging on the front of this. I think this was supposed to be like their Coachella themed palette or something. This was probably like the first super colorful palette that I bought. And there's a lot going on in this little palette. I still like it a whole lot. Really diverse, beautiful shades. They are super pretty. I don't know. I'm going to hang on to this. I really like the quality of these shimmers in here. And the mattes are very, very creamy. Like, look at these mattes. How pretty are those? They're so vibrant and they're buttery. Yeah, this is going to hang around in my collection a little while longer. Maybe if I'm doing like an affordable makeup routine, I can use that for my eyeshadow. It's a really good palette. All right, the next one from BH Cosmetics is their collaboration with Shan XO. It's the Shan XO Remix palette. It's like double-sided here. So that's what the first side looks like. Very basic and neutral. And then the other side, I think this was the side that I was excited about when I first got this palette. And I'm not trying to shit on BH Cosmetics because, or Shan XO, because I really do enjoy her channel. This doesn't really fit into my makeup routine anymore. So I am going to go ahead and declutter this one as well. There's no point in me hanging on to this and, hoarding it if I'm not going to use it. Okay, the next one from BH is their collaboration with Carly Bible. I got this one because I was like, okay, if it's a collab with Carly, it's got to be good. It's got a bunch of like highlighter shades down here. Just your really basic like rose tone shades and some browns. Just very neutral, very basic neutral palette. I don't know, but this is not a palette that I'm going to reach into. For me to keep it in my collection would be silly. So this one's going bye-byes. All right, the next palette in here is the Glam Reflection Gilded palette. So this was kind of like the other one, the Glam Reflection Smoke or whatever it was called, except for this one is supposed to be like a gold themed. This one also has a busted shade in it. It's the prettiest shade in the palette, in my opinion. We got like some yellows, gold. We've got like pink, brown. Not a bad palette. Really creamy shades. The shimmers are not bad. Look at this pink shade in here. That is so pretty. It's blinding. No, not keeping this. Am I? No. Put it away. See, that's what happens. I start swatching these and then I don't want to get rid of them because I'm like, oh, but that's got a really pretty shade in it. If anything, I should depot some of these and keep the good ones and just get rid of the rest of the palette. But I'm not going to keep this. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one as well. The next palette is the Solar Flare. These are really beautiful. They're really pretty. They're just, again, not... No, I just gotta let this go. I'm never going to use it. I'm going to keep holding on to it and say I'm going to use it, but I know that my daughter can get some use out of this, or my niece could get some use out of it, so going to pass that along as well. The next palette in that collection is the Aurora Lights. This one, again, very beautiful palette. Got some really stunning, bright, and vivid colors in here. I don't think I ever even used this. I'm just not a big fan of the whole baked formula. It just doesn't do it for me. I think I'm going to go ahead and pass this one along too. And then the last one in that collection is their Galaxy Chic. This one had some really unique, like, marbled shades in here. Not really sure what the point was. I mean, they just kind of mixed together. These are really pretty, but there's really no point in me hanging on to something that I'm just not going to use. Gonna pass that one along as well. Okay, next up in here, this is a palette that I received in an Ipsy Glam Bag Plus, I believe. This was a collaboration that Ipsy did with Tetris, which I thought was very odd. That Tetris was doing like eyeshadows. I don't know. The inside of the palette, that's what the inside packaging looks like. It's just a very, very odd color story. I mean, at least I think it is. Like, we got pink and mustard yellow and blue and gold. I don't ever see myself using this one, so this one is also going to take a hike today. I'm honestly decluttering more than I thought I was going to. Guess that's a good thing. Do you guys remember the Shop Hush app where you could buy, like, was it Bad Habit and Face Candy, and they were making like the knockoff palettes? You all know what I'm talking about. I kind of went hard because this was when I was first really getting into makeup, and I didn't want to spend $50 some on one palette. I wasn't there yet. You know, it took me a little bit of time. I wasn't there yet. But, you know, I had no problem spending $200 on knockoff palettes. I don't know where my logic was with that. But anyway, I did pick up the Bad Habit collection that was duping like Huda Beauty's Obsessions palettes. This is After Hours. This one was like a knockoff of the Mauve Obsessions. And from what I remember, these were actually pretty decent quality. I haven't used them in a while, so I don't know if I would agree with that now. Now that I'm like swatching these shimmers, they're just a little powdery. Actually, they're like real powdery. This was cheaper than buying her palettes. I think these were like $12 a piece, but if you bought the whole set, you got a hell of a deal. I want to say I paid like $40 for the entire set. It came with 6 of them, so $40 some for 6. I got them for like $8 a piece. It was a really good deal. So let me just show you those. This one is After Party. We have After Dark. We got After Shock. This one was like their neon colors, their real bright colors. We have Afterglow. Afterglow, I think, was like their Coral Obsessions one, which I do have the Huda one like this. And then there was After Charge. This one's got like a bunch of intense shimmer shades. So I haven't dipped into these palettes in a really long time. You can't buy these anymore because Bad Habit isn't in existence anymore as far as I know. I think Bad Habit turned into Alter Ego. I could be wrong, but the formulas are like identical. I'm not going to use these. I know I won't use them. There's no sense in me keeping them. I'm going to go ahead and declutter these. I do have quite a few from Bad Habit. I didn't realize I had this many. It's actually a lot. The next one I had was Supernova. I think this one was supposed to be a dupe of the Natasha Denona Lila palette, or Lila, however you say that. I don't know. This is not one that I ever like used a whole lot. And looking at the formula right now, it just looks... I'm just not that impressed, to be honest. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and pass this one along, because even when I first got it, I only used it like a couple times, and I wasn't over the moon about this one, so this one's going to go. The next one I have from Bad Habit is their Luna palette. This was supposed to be like their version of the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Norvina palette, like the first one. I only used this a couple times as well. I don't actually have the original Norvina palette. I'm going to go ahead and pass this one along. So the next one that I have is the Retro Love. This was like their version of Subculture. I mean, it's pretty close. There's definitely some color differences in there. Like the shimmer shades are just different. Yeah, I don't need both. I mean, I have the original Subculture palette, and I actually kind of like the original. So I am going to get rid of the Retro Love. There's no need for me to keep hanging on to these. I don't use them. They're just taking up space in a drawer, collecting dust. The next one that I have from Bad Habit is their Pretty Poison palette. I don't remember which one this is supposed to be duping, but it's really, really pretty. I don't know if the colors are translating that well on camera, but I remember being really excited when I first got this. And just, again, looking at it now, it just looks so powdery. It's crazy how when you dive more into, like, the eyeshadow world and you try different formulas and you try different brands, how much your taste gets, like, refined. Because now I don't think that this is that great. And I remember when I first got this, I thought this was fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this, too. The next one is the Solstice by Bad Habit. That one is another Natasha Denona dupe. I think this is like her Sunrise or Sunset. I always get them confused. Again, beautiful color story. Yeah, I'm not going to use it. There's no sense in me hanging on to it. That one's also going to go. I got several more from them. This is the Bad Habit Aphrodite. Which one was this? The Desert Rose or Desert Dusk? I can't remember the name of it. Again, I don't use it. No sense in me hanging on to it. That one's going. Then we have the Athena palette. I haven't used these in so long. I think I'm just going to declutter all of those. And then Bad Habit got real ballsy, and they duped Pat McGrath palettes. I actually did a review where I did the Bad Habit on one side and Pat McGrath on the other, and I didn't let you guys know which was which until the very end of the video. I wanted to see if you guys could figure it out along the way, based on application and how the end result looked. What I did is I took the Bad Habit Cult Mania palette. This one was a dupe of their Mothership, what was it, Mothership 5, or I don't know. You'll know by looking at this which one it's supposed to be duping. And you could tell there was a distinct difference in between the application when I was putting this on. But I'm not disappointed with the formula of these. These are a little bit better, in my opinion, than their other palettes. So I am going to be keeping these. I got that one. I got the Cult Mystics. I don't have the Pat McGrath palette that this one is supposed to be duping. I do, however, have the one that this one is supposed to be duping. Now, obviously, Pat McGrath palettes have those intense, shimmery shades in them that are very unique. These are not the same formula, obviously, but they are pretty awesome. They're really, really shiny, and they're duochromes, and they're still pretty special in my opinion. Like, you see how shiny and foiled those look. These are a baked formula. I don't know what Pat McGrath's are, but these in particular are baked. And I really like the unique quality of these. So, yeah, I am going to keep the Cult palettes from Bad Habit. Shoo, that was a lot. That was a lot from Bad Habit. I had a bad habit. Oh, cringy. So I had also picked up palettes from Face Candy on the Shop Hush app. This one was their Atlantis palette. This was the palette that supposedly Tarte was going to come out with. Their all blue and green palette, and then I think Face Candy beat them to it. This was another one of those palettes that I was like super excited to get. When it got here, I played with it a few times, and I thought that it was like the best thing ever when I first got it, but now having played with different formulas, it's not all that, so I am going to declutter that one. This is the Face Candy Vice palette. This was supposed to be duping the Kylie purple palette, I believe. This is another one that I was super excited about when I first got it, but I did not realize just how powdery these shadows were. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pass that one along as well. And then last but not least of my little dupe palettes here is the Wild palette. This was the last one that I bought off the Shop Hush app before they closed up shop. I don't really know why I grabbed this one. It's just like a hodgepodge of colors. I think this was supposed to be a dupe of one of the Kat Von D palettes. I really don't know because I don't have the original. I'm really not sure. But I was just never really that thrilled with this palette in general. So yeah, I'm going to be getting rid of all of those. I've decluttered quite a few. I'm starting to like second guess myself. Do I need to like throw these back in my drawer real quick? Okay, next up in here, again, towards the beginning of my makeup journey, I bought a couple of palettes from Caroity. Caroity's not a brand that you hear talked about like a whole lot, but I really wasn't that disappointed when I got this palette. This is the Picante palette. It's like your perfect fall toned palette. It's really beautiful. I used this in one of my videos, like at the very, very, very beginning of my channel. The video is cringy as hell, so don't go watch that. But it's actually really decent quality. I thought that the shimmers were really nice. They're really foiled. They kind of remind me of like Morphe shadows, if I'm being honest. There's just some of the shimmers swatched on my fingertips there. Am I gonna use it? Am I ever gonna dip into this palette? You know what? I'm not gonna get rid of this one. I'm gonna hang on to this Picante palette. The next one that I bought from Caroity was their matte. They're all matte, like 21 shadow palette. This is very vivid and bright. It's like a rainbow palette. I think this was my very first rainbow palette. Well, I didn't even use this one. Okay, I'm gonna hang on to this because I never used it. I need to give this a try. Whoops. All right, the next palette that I'm going to share with you is a very controversial palette. This is one that people either loved, hated, defended, trash talked, like there was no gray area. And if you talked trash about it, people were jumping your ass for it. This is the Makeup Revolution collab with Emily Noel. This is the Once palette. I bought this because it was the collab with Emily Noel. Just like half of the rest of the beauty community, right? Most people bought it because they love watching her. People had a lot of issues with this palette. I heard some people say that they found mold in their shadows. A lot of people just weren't happy with the quality. And I'm not going to sit here and trash talk Makeup Revolution, but if I'm being 100% honest, I have yet to get an eyeshadow palette from Makeup Revolution that I was like floored by or like super excited by. That's just my honest opinion. I have tried a lot of eyeshadows, so I have a large basis of comparison. I know what works for me. I know what's considered to be like good quality eyeshadows. I know what I like. And I was just not thrilled about this palette, guys, and I'm just being honest with you. I'll show it to you one more time. I thought the color story was really nice. I thought that it had a really good range of like mattes and shimmers in here. I was excited at the thought of this palette, but when I went to use it, I just wasn't happy with the pigmentation, and that's just my honest thoughts. Saying all that, do I want to get rid of it? Yeah, I'm not going to hang on to this because I'm never going to use it. I can give this to my daughter because she can get some use out of it. If you're somebody that doesn't really care for like heavily pigmented shadows, if you like building up your shadows, you might really like this palette because you have to kind of work for this one. So I'm going to pass this one along. Yeah, I told you guys at the beginning that this wasn't going to be like a cutthroat declutter video, but I've decluttered a lot. It kind of feels good. Okay, I actually have more BH Cosmetic palettes that I forgot about, so that just tells you how much I use these. These were also purchased at the very beginning of my makeup journey, and this was when I was into purchasing like the 35pan palettes because it was like, yeah, those are affordable, and I got a million tones of brown in there. So this one is the BH Cosmetics Blushed Neutrals. It's a 26pan palette. This one you can actually use as blushes, the row on the bottom here. And I think that's why I bought this. Why did I do that? Like, I'm never going to use them. Am I? No, not going to use that. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. I'm not going to use this. There's no sense in me hanging on to that. Okay, the next one is another 28pan palette. This is their Modern Neutrals palette. What the hell was I thinking getting all these larger pans? I don't think I used this either. I think when I first started really getting into makeup, it was just like quantity over quality. I just wanted all the palettes, right? I'm not going to keep this. I'm going to pass this one along as well. My daughter and my niece are going to be like in makeup heaven. All right, the next BH Cosmetic palettes. Jesus, I don't know why I bought this. This is their 120 color palette. Holy shit. I almost forgot about this. So this has like this mess going on in here. I don't know why I grabbed that. Why did I grab that? There's no way that's good quality. This comes out. Oh, shit. I nearly had a heart attack. Hold on. And you got that mess underneath. I mean, I don't need... Who in their right mind... Look at this. Look at this. These rows of greens, just first and foremost. Who needs 20 shades of green and 20 shades of blue that are nearly the same? That is most certainly getting decluttered. I don't know why that hasn't left sooner. And we got one more BH palette. This is the Ultimate Artistry, the Studio Pro palette. I'm not shit talking BH Cosmetics because they do have really affordable and good quality stuff. I have a lot of other palettes that I love and that I use all the time, and I don't use these, so there's really no sense in me keeping these. There's a lot going on in there, and a lot of it doesn't make sense. Yep, that's leaving. And then I have a J-Cat Beauty eyeshadow palette. This is their 24 pan Santa Monica. When you first got into makeup, did you do this too? Did you buy all like the larger palettes? This isn't even it. I got Morphe palettes too. So that's what the Santa Monica palette looks like. I just don't... These are not bad quality, and neither are some of the ones I just showed you from BH Cosmetics. It's not that they're bad quality, I just don't use them. So there's no need for me to keep it in my collection. I can give it to somebody that gets some use out of it. Okay, so this next palette that I'm going to show you is from Alter Ego. And Alter Ego, I'm pretty sure, like I said earlier, is what Bad Habit formed into after the Shop Hush app closed up. This is their Goddess palette. This is supposed to be their take on the Natasha Denona Gold palette. But I really wanted to do a comparison of the two palettes and see like just how similar this was, or if it was actually decent quality. I really feel like the quality of these palettes goes downhill very quickly because I'm swatching this and I remember being a lot more excited about it when I first got it. It's just really powdery now. I don't know. I still need to try this. I haven't even used it yet. I got it a few months ago and it sat in my drawer because I kept purchasing newer makeup to try for my channel and I just never got around to doing the comparison video. If you guys hear a humming noise, it got really cold in here. I had to turn my little heater on, so sorry in advance. Sorry, not sorry, right? Alright, so the next palette that I'm going to show you is the Huda Beauty Pastel Lilac palette. I was like super into the idea of these palettes when they first came out. I thought that they were beautiful. I really like the pastels. I haven't had this very long, maybe like a month and a half or so. And I think I've used it a handful of times. The only thing that I don't like about this particular palette is that all these shimmers, they just don't do a whole lot for me. They're almost more like topper shades than they are actual shimmer shades because they're very, very, I don't even know how to put it. They're not opaque whatsoever. See-through? Sheer? Sheer, that's the word I'm looking for. It's not that I don't like this palette, it's just not what I was expecting. So I do need to play with it some more. Definitely not getting rid of it. Alright, the next one that I'm going to show you is the J-Cat Beauty Dia y Noche palette. I think I got this one from Ulta because I thought the colors in here were beautiful. Look how bright and vivid these colors are. This is a beautiful palette. The only thing I've done so far, I've like swirled my finger around in the shadows just to feel the consistency, but I haven't actually used it on the eyes yet. So I'm definitely not going to be decluttering this. I need to give this a try. This is my cake palette. This is what the Glam Light cake palette looks like when you pull it out of the little oven there. If you haven't seen this, and there's the inside. Such a beautiful palette. It's so colorful. The shimmers in these Glam Light palettes are really, really good. And I just love how pigmented these shades are. So I am excited to try to use this. I was going to use it tonight, like to film this video with. And I ended up dipping into some of my single shadows instead. So definitely not getting rid of that because we need to play with it. Okay, the next in here is like a set of 3 palettes. I got these in a Trend Mood box. They sent us the Pure Trolls World Tour palettes. There was like these 3 here. These are interesting. Very interesting. This one is called the Techno palette. Those 3 shades right there, the 3 shimmers in this palette, gorgeous, beautiful. The mattes in this palette, I don't know. I don't know what they were doing. They are sheer. I love these palettes for the shimmers. I'm glad that I didn't like go out and spend my own money like purchasing these palettes separately because I probably would have taken them back. But again, I do really love these for the shimmers, and for that reason alone, not getting rid of these. The next one in that set is the Funk palette. And I believe the same thing with this. Those shimmer shades, they're beautiful. They're stunning on the eyes. But the rest of the shades, the mattes, they just kind of fluff away. I don't get it. And then there's the classical one. That's what that one looks like. Look at that. Beautiful. I don't know what they were thinking with the mattes. Okay, the next palette that I'm going to share with you is the Desi and Katie Friendcation palette from Dose of Colors. I really like this palette. I think the formulas in here are really good. The mattes blend really easily. They're just, you know, neutral mattes. And it's got some really fun shimmers in here to play with too. So I really like this palette. I think people are very divided on this one. They either love or hate it. I like it. The next is a set of 3. These are from Cara Beauty. This is like their High Times collection, I think is what it's called. So this one is Girl Scout. Beautiful bright colors. This one is Purple Haze. I did not buy these because they're weed themed. I don't smoke, and that's got nothing to do with why I picked these up. It's because they're beautiful and vibrant colors. This one is Orange Pop. Still have to play with them. Next up is the Glam Light Street Taco palette. I did do a review of this one with an eye look, so I'll try to remember to link that one above as well. I really did enjoy this palette. So cute. I like the food theme. It's just very vibrant colors, and the shimmers in this palette, just like with the cake palette, just really, really good. Really good quality, and I'm glad I grabbed it. Next up in here is a palette I grabbed a few weeks ago. I heard that Blush Tribe was closing up shop, and I had never purchased anything from Blush Tribe before. And from what I have heard, Blush Tribe is a really good brand. They made a lot of really good eyeshadow palettes, so I grabbed the Hasina 2. This was the one that always, like, called to me because of the purple and the green and the blue. I've only played with this once. I created like a little mini look with it. I didn't really form my full opinion on this palette, so I need to play with it again, but I am glad that I have this in my collection. Next up in here is from Nomad Cosmetics. This is their Studio 54 Multi-Chrome Disco Shadow palette. This is one that I haven't actually played with yet. I love the packaging though. Like, look how pretty the packaging is on this. I need to play with this. I need to try this on the eyes. I've swatched it, and they just feel... they're just really hard pressed. If I'm being 100% honest, I'm not totally living for the formula of this. Next up is my Juvia's Place collection. So first up is the Afrique. I love the packaging on Juvia's Place eyeshadow palettes. I just think that they're different, they're vibrant. I love like the African artwork. There's the inside of the palette. Such beautiful, vibrant colors. I really love Juvia's Place shadows. It's a shame because I don't use these as much as I should. They're just really good. Really good quality. Love their color story. This is the Nubian. This one's just like a warm tone neutral palette, but it's still very pretty. I also have like a little mini Nubian that I got. I believe I got this in an Allure box. Was it Allure? I think it was. I used to get like all kinds of beauty subscription boxes. I don't get any anymore. I canceled every single one of them. There's a little mini Nubian. Look how cute that is. Do I need both? No, not really. I'm going to give this away. I don't need to keep that. That's so cute. I almost don't want to just because it's a little baby palette, but I don't need to keep that. And then we have the Festival palette. This is one that I think I used like once. I don't know why, but when I look at this color story, I just don't feel very inspired by it. But it's very beautiful, good quality nonetheless. And then the Masquerade Mini. I really like this one. This one has a lot of neutrals towards the bottom, and then it's got these like 2 rows of brighter colors. I really like this one. I don't know, Juvia's Place, they know how to do their shimmer eyeshadows. They definitely do. And then I also have the Magic Mini. This is another one that I really like. It's got some like standout shades in here. It's got this duochrome blue to pink, this really pretty gold. It's got this really gorgeous green shadow down here. This one is fantastic. And then last but not least, I picked up their newest Wahala palette. I did do a review of this. If I'm not out of cards by now, I will link that above as well. But that's what that looks like. I really like this palette. I know a lot of people were upset because of the pressed glitters. People were on the fence just in general with the color story. I really like it. I shouldn't have started this video at 9 o'clock at night because it's going to be 3 o'clock before I go to bed. Okay, next up, this is the Pure Festival palette. I got this in a Boxycharm. I think I used it for my Boxycharm unboxing. Maybe one other time. Haven't touched it since. It is by no means a bad palette. I just own a lot of eyeshadow, that's all. Am I going to use this? Am I ever going to dip into this palette? I don't know. I'm not going to declutter every single eyeshadow palette. You know what? I need to stop myself because I'm getting I'm getting ahead of myself. I also have the Pure Visionary. I bought this one quite a long time ago. This one I feel like is a very underrated palette. The shimmers in this palette are stunning. They are just really good. Pure really knows how to do a shimmer formula. they do it right. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. Definitely keeping that palette. And then I also have the Pure Midnight Masquerade that I got in a Boxycharm box. I don't even know if I ever used this. It's got like your blush palette on this side, and then you got eyeshadows on this side. Ooh, I like that blush. That blush Hidden Secret right there. Wow. That's pretty. Not going to get rid of that. I also have a palette from Wander Beauty. This is the Wandra's Seascape palette. I got this one in either a Boxycharm or an Ipsy. I can't remember which. I was actually really impressed with the shimmer formula in this palette. Very foiled shimmer shades. Next up I have the Next up I have the Butter London palette. This one we got in a Boxycharm. It's just not something that I'm going to reach for. No sense in me keeping it. Going to declutter it. I hope I'm not breaking palettes because I'm just like throwing them off to the side. Next up in here is my Alamar Cosmetics palette. This is their Reina del Caribe. I hope I'm saying that right. I actually really enjoy this palette because of how beautiful the shimmer shades are in here. They're very foiled. We did get this in a Boxycharm quite a long time ago. And actually, I'm noticing a slight difference in the formula, which means it's probably starting to go bad. But I'm not quite ready to get rid of it, so keeping that. Next up is a Pretty Vulgar palette. This is their Nightingale. We also got this in a Boxycharm. Whoa. Well, I just broke it. Cool. That's what that looks like. It's just your everyday, neutral, smoky palette, and I actually kind of like it for that. It's got everything I would need in here to make like a smoky eye, so I'm keeping that. And then I do have some palettes from Violet Voss. I have their Essentials palette. This we got in a Boxycharm. That's what that looks like. I'm just not impressed with this one at all. I'm not impressed with the formula of this one. I'm not impressed with the shades. I don't know why, but the other Violet Voss palettes that I have are fantastic. The quality is really good, like of the mattes, the shimmers are really good. I don't know what it is about this one. I'm not excited about this one. This one's getting the boot. Alright, next up from Violet Voss is their Rainbow palette. I could not wait to have this palette. They're all shimmer shades. They're very beautiful, very foiled. Just pretty palette. Not going to get rid of this one. I also have the Flamingo palette from Violet Voss. I really like this. I have trouble coming up with a cohesive look with this one. And I don't know if it's because they're more like vibrant, bright colors, but I really like this. I like the shimmer formula in here. I like the mattes. They're just really good shadows. So, not getting rid of this one. I've got eyeshadow literally all over me. I've been swatching and then just like rubbing it on my pants. So smart. And then last but not least from Violet Voss, I have their Holy Grail palette. We also got this in a Boxycharm. That is how I started to build like my palette collection, was because I had Boxycharm and I had Ipsy, and you know, I kept getting palettes with my subscription services. This is a palette that I really like. You can create really easy, beautiful neutral looks with it, so I'm keeping that one. Okay, next up in here is another palette that I got in a Boxycharm. This is the Laura Lee Los Angeles Party Animal palette. This palette was horrific. The quality in this one is so bad. I tried to use it on several occasions and it's just not good at all. It's terrible. This one is getting the boot. At one point in time, Ace Beauté came out with their Paradise palettes. It's like a collection of 4 palettes. They were super hyped up and, well, at least I thought they were, and I had to have them. So I picked up the entire collection. There's the Slice of Paradise palette. Very bright, colorful palette. I don't even know, like, if I ever really fully gave these a chance yet. So I'm not going to declutter these. I need to really give them a try. Like, there's a lot of palettes that I own that when I first bought them, I didn't know what the hell I was doing with these palettes. I didn't know what the hell I was doing with Blossom Passion. Like, all these bright, vivid colors. I didn't know what to do with that. I was just getting into eyeshadows. So I need to give these a try again because who knows, I might like be totally in love with these. I feel like I remember Amy Loves Makeup talking about these and she wasn't thrilled about the formula. This is Paradise Fallen. I think the shimmers in here could be a lot better. I feel like they're a little powdery, but you know, either way, I'm trying these again. This one is Classical Paradise. And then the last of my Ace Beauté, or Ace Butte, I don't know how you say that, is their Grandiose palette, and this is one that we also got in a Boxycharm. I have tried this one out. I thought it was okay. I really like the shimmers in this palette. I think it's beautiful. I am going to hang on to this one. So I did give Kylie Cosmetics a try. I ended up picking up their Blue Honey palette. I thought that this one was so beautiful when I saw it online. I was like, I gotta have that. I bet it's such good quality. They look so good. I think I used this twice. It's not that it's bad quality, but this is nothing that I couldn't get from ColourPop shadows, in all honesty. I don't know why I paid the amount of money I did for this. I think this is like a $40-some palette. Okay, Google. How much is the Kylie Cosmetics Blue Honey palette? $42. $42. Did I pay $42 for this? Please tell me I didn't. Please, I hope I bought this on sale. No shade to Kylie Cosmetics. But this is not a $42 palette. I mean, get real. This is literally like ColourPop quality. Wow. I'm a little frustrated with myself. Anyway, I also picked up the Kylie Cosmetics. What is this? This is their Burgundy palette. I think I used this 2 or 3 times. Same thing. Outrageously priced. Sometimes you're paying for a name. Not going to get rid of them. Going to end up using them. Alright, next up in here is my Celestial Thunder palette from Dominique Cosmetics. This is one that I also got in a Boxycharm. The only thing I've done with this palette is swirl my fingers in it. I've never created a look with it. Again, too many eyeshadow palettes and overwhelmed. But gonna keep it, gonna play with it. I also have several of Suva Beauty's eyeshadow palettes. This is their Protege palette. Got this one in a Boxycharm. Actually, it was a Boxy Luxe. I mean, it is absolutely nothing special. Do I need this palette? Do I need you? Oh, it's a stink buggy. No! Little bastard. It's nothing that's like so unique that I have to keep it, so I am going to declutter this one. Then there's the Block Party palette from Suva Beauty. I think I bought this one when I bought a bunch of their Hydra liners. Really vivid and bright palette. I don't even think I've ever used this. Common theme among me and my palettes, huh? And I'm just not really impressed with the formula on this one. Whoa, that's a vibrant pink. Y'all see that? Holy cow. I'm going to keep it just for that pink. Maybe I'll depot that. That one's staying in my collection a little while longer. And then I have the Saffron palette from Suva Beauty. Beautiful neutrally kind of palette. Very chunky shimmers. Like, chunky. Do I really need this? I don't know. Not going to get rid of this one either. Just making the executive decisions. Okay, now I'm going to share with you a palette that I bought from Sample Beauty. This is their Paradigm Shift palette. I bought this when I first heard about Sample Beauty like 1.5 years ago. I think it was like 1.5 years ago. All I've done is swirl my fingers in here. Never used it. And this is a super vibrant palette, but I can tell you just by looking at it that like the shimmers are very powdery. Yeah, there's no shine to them whatsoever. But the mattes, I don't know. I need to give it a try. Not going to declutter this yet. Now, my friend Katie Marie here on YouTube was talking about the Slush palette in one of her recent videos. And I was like, you know what? I have that palette and never really played with it. Which is a shame because this palette is really beautiful. Like, look how colorful this is. We've got several shimmers in here, but it's mostly mattes. Very beautiful, colorful rainbow palette. I need to play with this. I need to really give this some love. She created some really beautiful looks with it, so I'm hoping I can too. Honestly, what drew me in most about this palette was the artwork on the front. Like, look how pretty that is. Whoever did that, I mean, chef's kiss. It's beautiful. Now we're going to hop into my ColourPop collection. I've got quite a few ColourPop palettes. First up is my Give It To Me Straight palette. This is your everyday neutral palette. Super simple to come up with just a regular old neutral eye look. I think I bought this when I first got into ColourPop quite a long time ago. When I first discovered ColourPop, it was like my eyes had been opened to like a brand new world of makeup, and I was so excited, and I had to have every palette. Didn't buy every palette, but I bought quite a few. This is their collaboration with Kathleen Lights. This is their Dream Street palette. I really enjoyed this when I first bought it. I haven't used it in quite a while, but I like the color scheme with the green and the orange, and then your neutrals. Really pretty. I picked up the My Little Pony palette because it was nostalgic, because I grew up in the 80s. It's okay. It's a pastel palette. I'm gonna keep it. This is another Kathleen and ColourPop collab. This is their Zodiac collection. This was one that I never saw the hype with it. When I first got it, I was so excited about it. I swatched a bunch of them. I put it up on my Instagram. I was all about it. And then the more I used it, the more I experimented with it. I don't know what it is about this palette. Some of the shimmers are just crumbly. It's just not fantastic. This is not one of my favorite palettes from ColourPop. This one, however, is one of my favorite palettes from ColourPop. This is their Good Sport palette. This was like one of their fall releases a couple years ago. Beautiful color story. This is right up my alley, and I really, really like this one. Next up is You Had Me at Hello. This was one of the first products that I got when I joined Boxycharm. I got this palette, and this is what originally turned me on to ColourPop. When I first really got into makeup, I had no idea that so many palettes existed. You gotta remember, like, when I first got into makeup, I was used to, like, Revlon eyeshadows and CoverGirl eyeshadows. No shade to those brands. When you compare, like, the Revlon and the CoverGirl eyeshadows to, like, my standard of eyeshadows now with, like, ColourPop and Jeffree Star and whatnot, when I first got into makeup and I made that switch, I was hella excited. I just couldn't believe that there were such great quality eyeshadows. Like, it blew my mind. So again, this is You Had Me at Hello, and it's awful funny that it's named that because this palette had me at hello. It had me at hello, it had me at ColourPop, and I became a ColourPop fiend. This one is their Good as Gold palette. This one was released, I think, around New Year's. I actually wrote in about this one when I got this in the mail. I reached out to customer service, and I was like, y'all might have to send me a new palette because something's wrong with that formula. It's mushy. It's moving around in the pan. Something wrong with it. It's chunky. And then they wrote me back and they were like, nah, sis, that's how it's supposed to be. And I was like, you know what I mean? Like, you sure? I haven't really used a whole lot because of that. There's just something off with this formula. I don't know if it was just my palette or if it's everybody's palette. Some of these are like pressed glitters. Some of them are Super Shock. Some of them are shimmers, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in the formulation of these eyeshadows, but they chunky. So I haven't used this one a whole lot, but I'd like to get more use out of it. It's a pretty palette. I'm just not gagging over the formulas. Next up is one of my favorite palettes from ColourPop. This is their Flutterby palette. This one is like mauve toned. It's very beautiful. It's got some really icy, like, lavender lilac shades. It's just so pretty. This is the perfect palette to use if you want something that is neutral, yet, I don't even know, glam. Like, it's just a beautiful palette. It's very underrated. I love it. Then we have the Sweet Talk palette from ColourPop. This one was released, I think, last spring. Beautiful peach-toned eyeshadows. I really love this one. Next up is the Perception palette. This was their collaboration with Shayla. I got some beautiful colors in here. I don't really use this one that much, but it's a good palette nonetheless. Then we have the Fortune palette. This one's just very kind of neutral. It's got some berry tones in there. It's got a duochrome down here. You got a gold shade over there. Not a bad palette. I don't really know why I felt the need to pick this one up. There's an awful lot of brown going on in here, but I got it. All right, now we're going to be diving into the ColourPop 9-pan palettes. This is their Ooh La La, and this is like their all pink toned palette. Then there's the Just My Luck. This one was one of my favorites because I love a green eyeshadow, and I like the tones that are in this one. This is the Soul palette, which is like the sister palette to the Mar. I'm highly considering decluttering these. That's Soul. Part of me's like, you need to keep it because you got a ColourPop collection. And this one is Mar. I just don't use them that often, but they are beautiful. I also have their Honey palette. It's like their yellow toned palette. I have Strawberry Shake. Very beautiful pink tones. We've got Baby Got Peach. Very beautiful peachy tones. Some people get really pissed off about the pressed glitters in these palettes. I don't really care. I think that they're beautiful. It doesn't deter me from buying these. There's the It's My Pleasure palette. This is probably my favorite 9-pan palette besides the Just My Luck. So pretty. Love these tones of purple. Love purple eyeshadows. That wraps up my ColourPop palettes. And I also have like these two little build your own quad palettes from ColourPop. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, wait till you see the color stories. They're almost identical, but they're different shadows in each. Look at the color stories, but look how similar those look. They're totally different eyeshadows. Now we're going to be diving into the wonderful world of Morphe eyeshadows. I have several palettes from Morphe. Again, when I first really got into makeup, I was buying all of the larger palettes because I kept thinking that it was a better deal to buy, you know, less expensive palettes with more shadows. Who cared about quality, right? No shade, Morphe. And in all honesty, Morphe doesn't have terrible quality eyeshadows. I've had a lot worse. And they are really affordable. So if you're somebody that's looking to build your collection and you're looking for variety, you're looking for good bang for your buck, Morphe really is an affordable route to go. And no, I don't have a code with them, obviously. So first up in this little Morphe parade is the 15H. This is their Happy Hour palette. I don't know why I'm showing you the cover. They're all black. I don't know if I bought this one or if this one was in a Boxycharm or where I acquired this. It's really beautiful. I don't dislike this one. Would I buy it now? No, it's like literally 15 shades of orange. But it's not awful. I also have the 15D. This is the Day Slayer palette. This one I think was the one that was sent to me in a Boxycharm. Again, 15 shades of orange brown. Okay, next up in here is the 15B. This is the Brunch Babe. I was never really that thrilled about the quality of this one. This one just didn't seem as good as like my other Morphe shadows. I don't know what it was about it. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. I also bought the Jaclyn Hill Vault collection when it came out, and I was never really that disappointed with mine. I know people had a lot to say about this collection. A lot of people were not happy with the quality. They wanted their money back. They were pissed off because there was quality issues. I never had any issues with the quality of mine. This one is Ring the Alarm. There was a lot of drama surrounding this release because of formula issues and, you know, I'm not going to get into it because I don't care to get into any of the drama. I'm here for the makeup. But like I said, I never had any problem with mine. This one is Dark Magic. I really like the selection of colors in this one. We have Armed and Gorgeous. Again, really like the colors. I thought that she did a very good job in terms of her color selection, the color stories of these. And this one is Bling Boss, and that one looks like that. I have used these quite a bit, and I still like them. Okay, next up, we're going to dive into these ridiculously large palettes from Morphe. This one is their 35F, their Fall into Frost. We got a bunch of shimmery, fall-toned eyeshadows. The quality on these shimmers is actually really good. Now, these aren't the kind of shimmer shades that are going to be super foiled and look wet. Like, that's not this type of formula, but it is a really good shimmer formula. I don't need it. I keep second guessing myself because I don't want to get rid of my entire collection, but I don't need this. I'm never going to use it. I'm going to pass this one along. All right, next up in here of my 35-pan Morphe palettes is my 35P. This one is the Plum Pleasers. I never knew it was called that. I thought it was just called the Purple Palette. I didn't know it was called Plum Pleasers. Okay. But it's a purple palette. Lots of purple eyeshadows. I think what I'm going to do is depot some of these because I do like several of these shadows, but I don't need this entire palette. Like, who needs all that? Absolutely nobody. Not even a working makeup artist. And I think that was my mentality with a lot of these purchases was, I want to be a working makeup artist. I want to do people's makeup. I want to have all this makeup to choose from. You don't need 200 eyeshadow palettes to be a makeup artist. Took me a few years to realize that, and a lot of eyeshadow palettes later, but here we are. An expensive lesson. So I am going to declutter this one as well. I'm just going to take a few of the shades out of it. This one is the 35V, the Stunning Vibes. I don't know why I keep showing you the front. They all look the same. There's that one. I actually really like this one. I like the different tones in here. I like that we have a good range of like neutrals, warm browns. We've got your pretty pink. Again, colorblind. We've got pretty purple and blue, and you've got mauve up top. I really like the shimmer formula in this one. I like how icy these tones up here are, so I am going to keep this one. Next up in this one is a 3502. This is the Second Nature palette. It's all just like, look at these tones down here and how similar all of those are. You have got to have duplicate shades in these palettes. There's got to be. There has to be. They're so close. There's no way you would see the distinct difference when you put this on the eyes. No way. Some of these would look like the exact same shadow. It's actually quite comical when you think about it. Do I need this? You know damn well I don't need this. Like, look at those two, for instance. Do you see a difference? Like, barely. And when you swatch it, they look the exact same. It's so funny. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one as well. I don't need that. Okay, next up in here is the 350M. This is the Nature Glow palette. Again, this is like an all matte palette. Very similar to the other Morphe palettes I've shown. It's insane the amount of browns in here that are the same. How did they get away with selling duplicate shadows in here? Like, I swear to God, there's duplicate shades in here. Yeah, I'm not keeping this. That's insane. I'm going to get rid of that one. I just realized that I missed a ColourPop palette because it was sitting on my bed. This is the ColourPop All I See Is Magic palette. This one was one of their holiday releases. I think it was from like 2017. I got this one off the Ipsy website because I got it on like a deep discount because it's old. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one as well. I think I've used it like once, twice maybe. No need to hang on to that. All right, let's get back to Morphe. This is their 35M. This is their Boss Mood palette. I actually really, really like this one. I like the greens, the purples. I just like the different tones in here. I like the grunginess of it. I like that it's very versatile. And it's got some really unique shimmer shades in here. So that one's staying. I also have the Jaclyn Hill collab, their very first one, like their OG palette. I am going to keep this one just because, you know, it's the OG Jaclyn palette. And not to mention, if I need some brown shades, I got some brown shades in this one. You got pretty much everything you need. I also have their new release with Jaclyn. This one I was pleasantly surprised with. I thought it was really beautiful. This one also has a lot of duplicate tones. I mean, you can see it by looking at it. But it's really pretty. Really vibrant colors. I also have the Gargantuan Morphe palettes, 39A. This is their like artistry palette, Dare to Create or whatever it was called. Again, lots of browns in this palette, but it also has some fun blues and greens and pinks. So I am going to hang on to this one as well. And then last but not least, I have their collaboration with James Charles. And this just has, you know, a lot of different colors in it. Very colorful palette. I haven't, like, barely ever used this palette. So, need to get some use out of it for sure. I'm getting there, y'all. We still have quite a few palettes to go through. Like, truly insane. You don't realize how much you have. Like, yeah, 180 some sounds like a whole lot. And it is. It's ridiculous. But you don't realize just how many that is until you have to talk about each one of them. You guys, I'm so sorry. Okay, so, moving along. Next up is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Volume 3 palette. This is one that I got in a Boxycharm. This is an odd little palette. I don't know. It's all shimmer shades except for one. You got one transition shade that's like a matte cream color, and the rest is shimmer shades. And they're all so similar. No, there's no need for me to keep this. I'm never going to use it. I'm going to get rid of that. Next up is the Tarte Tartelette palette. This just has everything that you would need for like transition shades. And I think that's why I've kept this as long as I have. Well, as far as like neutral eyes go anyway, if you're looking for just a regular neutral look. So it's really good for that reason, and that's why I'm still going to keep it. Okay, next up in here, I have my Melt Cosmetics palettes. This is a very sentimental palette to me because this is the first palette that I filmed a YouTube video with. Actually, this was the first YouTube video that I filmed in general was with this palette. I was so excited. I remember sitting down to film this, and I explained this in my tag video too, but just the feeling that overcame me with how exciting it was for me to film a video talking about this palette, I can't explain it. It's a feeling unlike anything else. If you're somebody that also films for YouTube, you probably know what I'm talking about. Your very first video, your first few videos, it's exhilarating. And not to say that I'm not still exhilarated when I film, but it's just become more of a normal thing as opposed to when I first started. It was just something super special and just new. So anyway, I do love this palette regardless, just because it's absolutely beautiful. I love the grungy greens. Some of them are a little crumbly, so I recommend using like a glitter primer or like the NYX Multitasker mixing medium if you're gonna use this palette, or if you already have it and you're struggling with it, try doing something like that. But really love this palette. The other palette that I have from Melt is the Gemini. That one looks like this. I actually bought this one because I heard Raw Beauty Christy raving about it over and over and over and over again on her channel. This was like the end of 2018 when I bought this palette. And to be honest, this is my second set of these palettes. The first set that I had of both of them, the shades started coming up out of the pans, like literally rising up out of the pans. It was the oddest thing. I've never seen anything like it. And it was causing such a mess. I had shadow everywhere. So at one point, I actually commented on that in one of my earlier videos, and one of my viewers said, why don't you contact Melt and let them know? Tell them what's going on and they'll probably take care of it for you. And I thought, you know what? They're right. These mugs are expensive. There's no reason why they should be doing this. So I contacted Melt. No questions asked. They sent me 2 brand new ones. So if you're somebody that's having issues with your shadows coming up out of the pan, because it's a known problem with these palettes, with their earlier versions of these palettes, if you're having that issue, contact Melt. They will more than likely send you a replacement palette. Like I said, they did for me. All I had to do was send them pictures showing them what was happening, and they totally took care of it for me. So that's what I call great customer service. That is one of the reasons why I will continue shopping with Melt. All right, next up in here is my Makeup Geek palette full of singles. Again, this was the other like sentimental product that I've chosen my eyeshadow palette tag video, because I assembled this palette when I first really started getting into makeup, and I was totally blown away by the fact that I could like assemble my own palette. It was so special to me, that idea. I'd never thought of that before, and I thought it was so cool that I could put whatever shades I wanted in here, whatever finishes. I love this palette because of that. It takes me back when I first started getting into makeup, and it was a very special time for me because everything was so new. So, love this palette, definitely not going anywhere. Next up, I have the Lime Crime Venus XL. This was like a super hyped up palette when I first bought this. Show you the inside here. And it looks like an absolutely stunning palette, and it's pretty, don't get me wrong, but every time I've used this palette, I don't know if it's because all the shades are so close together, like as far as in tone, but they're all pink, so all my eye looks look the same. They're all just like, they muddy together. I need to use this palette some more because this palette is hella expensive. I bought it back in 2018, and I think I've used it like 5 times and got frustrated with it. So, not going to declutter it, going to try to make it work. The next up is the Dose of Colors Snow Angel palette. I don't know what like coaxed me into buying this palette. Let me just show you here. It's not that it's not pretty, but it's kind of like an odd color story. They're all mattes, beautiful colors. I think that they're good quality. I don't know. I think it's a really beautiful palette. I am going to keep using it, so I'm not going to declutter that. And then I did get the Pretty Cool palette. Did I get this in a Boxycharm? I'm almost certain I did. It's just a cool toned brown palette. When I got this in my Boxycharm, I was kind of hoping that I was going to get like the Sassy Siennas or the Marvelous Mauves. And instead, I got Turkey Turd Browns, like my granddad would say. Okay, next up I have two palettes from Okalon. This was also a brand that was on the Shop Hush app when it was up and running. I don't know if they're still making, I don't know. I haven't heard much from them since Shop Hush. But they came out with a couple of smaller palettes like this. They're called their liquid metal, They're liquid metal eyeshadows, and they're just like a really intense shimmer formula. I remember these being super intense. Yeah, those aren't bad. Those are not bad for, I think I paid like $6 for this palette. Like, it was really inexpensive. I'm not going to reach for this though. I don't have any need to. I've got so many shimmer eyeshadows. So I am going to go ahead and pass those along. I really am trying to be more mindful of what's in my collection. It's going to take a lot of weeding out because I've got a lot of stuff in my collection right now that just doesn't get used. So I just need to do a better job of being a little more selective as to like what I'm picking up and not buying stuff just to buy it. Next up is my Wet n Wild Nude Awakening palette. I think these were like dupes of Anastasia palettes. I don't know if this one was. Very neutral. They're not bad at all. They're actually really decent quality. The shimmers are a little powdery. It is drugstore. It's not what I'm used to. It's not that like foiled out of this world shimmer that I really like have come to know and love, but it's not terrible. So I'm not going to get rid of this. I do want to keep at least some affordable options for when I'm doing videos here on YouTube, like a full face of affordable makeup or comparing, you know, affordable makeup with higher end makeup. So I don't want to get rid of everything. So keeping that. Next in here is my Makeup Revolution Fierce as Fire eyeshadow palette. I actually got this as a gift with purchase from Ulta quite a long time ago. I think if you spent like $15, you got a free palette, or maybe it was $20. I don't remember. But I do remember using this and thinking that it wasn't terrible. But if I'm being totally honest, I'm not going to use this again. I'm going to pass this along. You know what? I forgot an alter ego palette. I actually did a video with this one. This is the Aurora palette. This one I really enjoyed. I created a really beautiful eye look with this, you know, in my humble opinion. This one is supposed to be a dupe of the Natasha Denona Sunrise? Why do I always get them confused? I'm pretty sure this one's the Sunrise. And I thought that it was really fantastic quality. So I am going to keep this one. I would like to use it some more. Next up in here is an eyeshadow palette from Crown Brushes. Got this in a Boxycharm box a long time ago. And it's just a bunch of matte neutral browns. Am I ever going to use this? Nope. Quit second guessing yourself. Nope. Oh, why'd I have to swatch that shimmer? Ooh. The shimmer's pretty, but I know damn well that I have a shimmer just like that somewhere else. So, gonna get rid of that. I also have this little tiny collaboration between Ulta and NYX. This was another gift with purchase thing that I got for spending a certain dollar amount, you know, way back when. Pretty sure I had 2 of these at one point. It's just a little NYX palette. NYX is okay when it comes to eyeshadows, but they don't have my favorite eyeshadow formula. I'm just a bit snobby when it comes to my eyeshadows. I can't say I like higher end eyeshadows because I like ColourPop and stuff too, but I have a very specific taste when it comes to the eyeshadows that I like. I'm not going to use this. There's no need for me to hold on to that. Next up is a little e.l.f. palette. This one's called Mad for Matte. Looks like that. I picked this one up because I heard people raving about e.l.f.'s like palettes like this. Shades in here are super creamy. I'm going to keep this in case I ever do like a full face of e.l.f. or, you know, for one of my more affordable makeup videos. Some stuff I kind of have to keep because of YouTube, because I do film videos and I want to have makeup to choose from. So, gonna keep that. Okay, the next palette in here is from Milani. This is their Most Loved Mattes palette. I've only used this a handful of times. I'm not going to get rid of it. I think that if I was looking for, you know, some warmer tone transition shades, this would be a good palette for that. Okay, next up in here is a palette that I picked up from the Shop Miss A website, the I'm a Beach palette. I remember using this for my Shop Miss A haul video, because I also got ready in that video. and I was not thrilled about these eyeshadows. Nope, gonna declutter that. Okay, next up in here is a palette from Essence. This is called the I'm With the Band palette. I grabbed this purely because of the shade names. I was an 80s and 90s kid, so these band names, when I saw this on the Ulta website, I had to pick it up. We got Inner Sandman, Don't Speak, Wonderwall, Say My Name. Just for that reason and that reason alone, I might hold on to this palette. Like, no lie. Do I need to? You know what? This needs to go. The quality in here is not that great, so I'm going to let it go. But initially, that's why I grabbed it, because I thought the shade names were really cute. Next up in here is the NYX Grind palette. I bought this one because it's got that really grungy green and the mustard yellow shades, and I thought that this would be, you know, a pretty palette to work with. And I wasn't disappointed with it. I've used this several times. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Subculture palette. Well, some of the shades do, not all of them. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of it. I'm not going to use it. I really don't want to keep hanging on to stuff that I'm not going to use. I've said that literally like 50 times in this video, so I do apologize. But it's true. Alright, next up is the NYX Ultimate Brights palette. I bought this. This is one that I just had to have. Saw it at Ulta. Kept wanting to get it on sale. Every time I wanted to get it on sale, it would sell out. But I had to have it because I was like, you know, it's the perfect rainbow palette and I need it. I need it. I think I've used it once. Not going to get rid of this yet. I do want to keep playing with it. Still have a whole drawer to go through. Not lying. Okay, I also have two palettes from Profusion. I have their Chocolates palette. I do believe that I've bought both of these from... I think I got both these from TJ Maxx. Yeah, this one I got for like $7, which is really decent price. I was pleasantly surprised when I used this palette, but it's been a while. This palette has been sitting in my makeup drawers for almost 2 years. Let me go ahead and keep this one. I'm going to keep that. The second Profusion palette I have is called Wanderlust, and I've never used this one. This was, again, a $7 palette from TJ Maxx. It's got some really beautiful shades in here. Profusion, they make pretty decent eyeshadows for being, you know, the price point that they are. They're pretty inexpensive. I'm going to go ahead and keep this one too. I'm going to keep both my Profusion palettes. I think I need to test those out a little bit more anyway. All right, we're nearing the home stretch here. Praise Jesus, because this was a lot. This was eye-opening. Next up is my Urban Decay palettes. The first Urban Decay palette that I ever bought was the Naked Heat. I don't know what it is about this palette, but I was never able to get it to work for me. Anytime I ever use this, my eyeshadow looks always look the same. The same shades of like muddy red, brown. I don't know if it was me because I wasn't very skilled when I first bought this. So maybe I need to give this one another try. It's a gorgeous palette. Very warm toned. I mean, the quality in here is really good. I don't know what it is about this. I think the tones are just so close to each other that when you start to blend, they all just kind of muddy together. But again, not going to get rid of this. I'm going to try to make it work. The second Urban Decay palette I bought was the Born to Run. Maybe I just feel like Urban Decay palettes are overrated. And if you're somebody that loves Urban Decay, I'm so sorry. But this wasn't it either. I don't know what it is about this palette. It looks beautiful, but every time I go to do an eye look with it, I just feel so uninspired. Maybe I need to start like getting inspiration from other creators and looking at their eye looks and like trying to create something similar with the same palettes or something. It's just not my favorite palette, but I'm too stubborn to get rid of this quite yet, so I'm hanging on to it. The next Urban Decay palette that I bought was the Elements palette. This one called out to me hardcore when I saw it. I thought it looked absolutely beautiful, and it is. The shimmers in here are so good. Like, this is a really good palette. It's such good quality, but you don't ever hear anybody talk about this palette. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because nobody ever really bought it because it was like a holiday release, but it's good quality and it's got some really decent shades in here, so I've only used this a handful of times. I really need to give it more love. The next Urban Decay palette that I bought was the Naked Cherry. This one I really like. I think I'm able to come up with a very beautiful, like, cherry toned, mauve toned look. I love mauve eyeshadows on my green eyes. I think it really makes them pop. So I do enjoy this one. I'm really glad I picked it up. And yeah, that's all of my Urban Decay palettes. Starting to look hella oily. I've had this makeup on for quite a while. When I first got into makeup, I also grabbed a lot of Too Faced. Too Faced was a very popular brand. They were still kind of like on the up and up when I first got into makeup. Not saying that they're in a completely shitty place now, but they're definitely not doing as well as they were when I first got into makeup. This is the Chocolate Gold palette. The shimmers in here are so good. So good. Smells like chocolate. Tastes like chocolate. Are you serious? It tastes like chocolate. I watched a video where Samantha Ravindall was talking about that, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Those don't taste like chocolate. They really do. That's insane. Anyway, while we're eating eyeshadows all of a sudden, but it's a really beautiful palette. Glad I have it. Definitely not getting rid of it. I also have the Chocolate Bar palette. Just very basic, neutral browns with like a pop of purple there. I have the Chocolate Bonbon. I don't know why I felt like I needed all of them, because they all are just a lot of brown, really. With a pop of pink. This one's starting to turn. I can smell it. It's not smelling as fresh as it once was. Still tastes pretty good. Is there sugar in them? Anyway, what's wrong with me? Actually, I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. I'm never going to use it. Yeah, I'm going to hang on to the Chocolate Bar palette, but I'm going to get rid of the Bonbon. I never really got on with this one that well. The completionist that I am, I had to have this one just because, but it's not one that was ever a favorite, so getting rid of that. And then, of course, I also had the Sweet Peach palette. I really enjoyed this one. I love the way it smells. It smells like peaches. I loved the green up here, this beautiful, like, pinky shade that's got, like, that gold flip to it. I really liked this palette. Haven't used it in a really long time. Don't know if I will. There's something about it. It's nostalgic. I'm keeping it. Okay, the next palette that I'm going to show you is a little tiny baby Pacifica palette. I think I got this in an Ipsy bag a very long time ago. It even comes with the little, like, foam tip applicator. It's so cute. I actually liked this palette when I used it. Pretty powdery. I thought it was a very, like, interesting color story. I don't know. I kind of like it. I'm going to hang on to that. Next up in here is one of my favorite shimmer palettes. This is the Jouer Skinny Dip. If you haven't tried this palette, or you don't own this palette, you've never swatched it, this palette is something special. Like, the shimmers in this palette, stunning shimmer formula. So foiled looking, so shiny, head turner. I don't know. I love this palette. This is definitely not going anywhere. The next palette in my collection is the Smashbox Cover Shot palette. This one is their Pinks and Palms. I think I grabbed this one with my Boxycharm points. Like, you get so many points for reviewing products that come in your box, like on their website. Good thing, because the quality on this palette is just not good. It is not good at all. Like, the shimmer formulas are hard pressed in the pan. It's just not a good palette. This one's definitely getting the boot. I've heard a lot of people say that about those palettes, that the formula is just not very good. The next palette is a collaboration between Be Perfect and Stacey Marie MUA. This is their Carnival palette. Now, Be Perfect has come out with a larger palette like this. I mean, it is huge, and it's got like every color imaginable and then some. But this is a very good palette. If you were like on the fence about grabbing this palette, you've been thinking about grabbing it, you've been intrigued by it, whatever, it's good and you would not be disappointed. I promise that. Next up in here is the Tati Beauty Volume 1. I thought that this was a very good quality palette. I've only used it like twice. I really need to dip back in here because this is not a cheap palette. I love that it's got a huge mirror on it. I love how luxe it feels. I like the matte black packaging. I love the glitter shades in here. Normally, not a huge pressed glitter fan, but the ones in here are just something special. Anyway, the mattes are really good. They're creamy. This is a good palette. Oh, I got a few more. All right, next up we have Jeffree Star. This is his Blood Sugar palette. This was the first Jeffree Star palette that I ever bought. And I was so excited when it got here. I was so thrilled with the packaging and just the shades. I thought it was beautiful. The formula's really good. I still feel that way about the shadows, and I think it's a really good palette, but I've only used this palette like a handful of times, and I swore I was going to use this all the time. I don't know what it is about it, but when I look at it, I have a really hard time coming up with something cohesive. So I definitely need to dip back into this a little bit more. The second Jeffree Star palette I bought was his Alien palette. I just had to have this. Definitely not regretting that I grabbed this. I think it's a beautiful palette. I know it's been discontinued, but it's beautiful and I'm really glad that I have it. And last but not least, I have his Bloodlust palette, which is my most recent find from Jeffree Star. I did do a collab with a friend of mine here on YouTube. Her name is Vinyl Beauty. If you have not seen that collab where we did a palette bingo with this palette, probably not going to be able to link it in the cards because I've linked too many by now, but I will link it down below so you guys can check it out. This is a really beautiful palette. I'm glad that I grabbed it. It's good quality, and I think it's a fun color story. We are almost done, guys. Almost. All right, next up in here is my Pat McGrath Labs palettes. These are very near and dear to my heart because they cost as much as an unborn child. This one is the Bronze Ambition palette. This was the first one that I ever bought, and it kind of had me hooked. This one doesn't have any of her, out of this world shimmery shades in it. These are just your regular shimmers, but they're not regular. They melt into your skin. They're just beautiful. This is such a fantastic palette, and I'm really glad that I grabbed it. Then I grabbed two of her larger palettes. This doesn't say which one it is. It just says Mothership on the back. But it looks like this. Pat's palettes are just so luxe. They're heavy. They look expensive. They are expensive. They've got that beveled mirror on the inside that looks very bougie. And the formulas on the inside are just unlike anything else that you can find. Now, a lot of indie brands do a fantastic job with duochromes and pressed glitters and multi-chromes and all that crap. They do. They kill it. Pat just has a way with these shifty, glittery, I don't even know what you want to call them. These shades like this. They are absolutely beautiful. Look at that. They're metallic, they're glittery, they are foiled. It's just a special formula, and it's special. It's just special. Glad I have that, and then I also have this one here. It's got dust on it. That's not a good sign. Sorry, Pat. Again, I don't know which Mothership palette that this is because it doesn't say on the back, but that's what this one looks like. Let me swatch some of these. This pink shade kills me. This bronzy shade, oh my god. They're just gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. Look at these. Yum, 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 yum. It's so beautiful. So anyway, love my Pat McGrath shadows. Those are definitely not going anywhere. So pretty. Yes. Yes. Starting to get loopy. A little tired. I have been filming this video since 9 o'clock. It is now 1:45. Let's hope and pray this video is not 3 hours long when I get done. All right, the last bit of my shadows are all Huda Beauty. I have a bunch of her Obsessions palettes. Some people really love her Obsessions palettes. Some people think that they're crap quality. I think it's crazy how people are so divided on certain things, but I really happen to like them. I think they're really good. I own her Medium Nude for a nude look. Very easy to use. I love the shimmers in this palette. They're so beautiful. They're foiled. I just love the eye looks that I come up with when I use this. Great palette. Next up is her Neon Orange palette. I've only used this one several times. It's very beautiful, very bright, vibrant colors. The couple times that I did use it, I really like the eye looks that I came up with, so I'm glad I have it. I'm definitely going to keep using it. I have her Emerald Obsessions palette. I love this palette. I wish it wasn't broken down here. This is my favorite shade in it. It's like a green and it shifts yellow. It's got this really fun, glittery beautiful green shade up here. It's got a pastel green. I just think it's beautiful. I love it. Anyway, enough rambling. Next up is her Sapphire Obsessions. This one's just pretty. It's a gorgeous palette. Love it. I also have her Ruby Obsessions. This was supposed to be more of like a red themed, like ruby themed. I thought it was more pink toned than anything else because when you put this on the eyes, nothing's really red. It's more pink toned. Very beautiful. I do like it. Then we have the Mauve Obsessions. Really like this one. This one's like a staple palette. Really complements my eye color. Easy to use. Good quality. Two more of those. I have her Coral Obsessions. Funny story behind this one here. I actually ordered this while I was laying in bed on vacation, summer of 2018. I had developed sun poisoning from laying out in the sun too long, and my feet and legs were swollen like balloons. And I think that I was so out of it, like I was legit sick. I think I even had a fever. I ordered this literally, I think, in my sleep. I don't remember ordering this. I remember like shopping the Sephora app while I was in a daze and throwing this in the cart. And that's all I remember. I don't know how it got to my house. I don't know. I was on autopilot, I guess. I don't know. All right, last but not least of these little Obsessions palettes, I have the Amethyst Obsessions. It's got some really beautiful shades in it. I can come up with some fantastic eye looks with it. I love it. This is the very last palette in my collection. You guys made it. Y'all made it. Y'all the real MVPs. This is the Huda Beauty New Nude palette. I really like this palette. When I first got it, I was like head over heels for it. And it was like a favorite of mine for a long time. I haven't used it in quite a while. I don't have any good reason for not using it other than having way too many palettes. So it is a very good one if you're somebody that has thought about buying this or still thinking about buying it. It's a good palette. I think that you would be totally, happy with it if you purchased it. So that is all of my palettes. What do you guys think? Psycho? A little bit. I'm glad that I kind of used this opportunity as a declutter because I had way too much. I couldn't even I had 4 drawers in my Alex drawers just full of palettes. And a lot of the stuff, it was just sitting there collecting dust. It's stuff that I wasn't even using. So I'm glad that I had this opportunity to kind of go through my palettes. Oh, I missed one. I missed 2. I forgot to mention my bite-sized e.l.f. palette, the Cream and Sugar. Very good quality. It's $3. You can't beat it. And then I also have this palette from Oriza. It's like a nude contour palette is what they call it. This mug's $20. I looked it up on the website the other day. That's insane, but it is really good quality. So that wraps up this video. So I want to know down below, do you guys have a lot of the palettes that I have? Do you have a lot that I don't have? So thank you guys so much for watching this palette video. I know it was long. If you made it through the whole thing, I commend you. You deserve a medal. If you guys like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. It helps my channel out a lot, and I'm very grateful when you guys take the time to do that. When you guys like my video, it lets YouTube know that people are liking it, so it'll push it out there for more people to see, which in turn helps my channel. So thank you so much to those of you that actually take the time to do that. Also, if you're not already subscribed to my channel and you do like my content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you go. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you're notified of all my future uploads, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.